Hello, everybody. We are back for another science lesson. Today's lesson is going to follow a model very similar to the model that we followed on yesterday. And so, just like yesterday, I need you to go to your Google Classroom and make sure that you have grabbed the PDF document for the workbook pages that say Lesson 2, what renewable resources are used for energy. And so, make sure you've located that. And then that same chart from yesterday, where we did non-renewable energy. Today, we're going to focus on the second part of that chart for renewable energy. Now, guys, your non-renewable energy part of your graphic organizer should be done. You should have done this yesterday during class time. You had class time to do it. So if it's blank, guys, I know that Dr. Johnson went over it. I know that he supported you with it. And so it is now on you to get this non-renewable energy portion done, which means you're going to have to go back and watch the video again. You're going to have to go back and go through the notes again in order to do it by yourself. And so if you are in that boat, it is my suggestion to you that today you pay very close attention while we're talking about renewable energy, and that you fill in the chart as we talk about the different sections. And at the end of class, after we've gone through our whole presentation, you use your class time wisely to finish your renewable energy portion of your graphic organizer so that you have it done when class is over. All right, so I'm going to get off my soapbox and we're going to go ahead and get started. So exploration 1, exploring renewable resources. It says use it again. As you've learned, non-renewable resources cannot be replenished in a reasonable amount of time. However, renewable resources are resources that can be replenished within a reasonable amount of time. They are used to generate electricity. They were the main form of energy used before the 20th century. All right, guys, so let's take a look at our picture. And so this picture looks quite different than the one we looked at yesterday. And so we are looking at very different sources for our renewable energy. And so we're going to click on each one and learn a little bit about them. So here's our first. It says hydroelectricity. The energy of water flowing through a dam is called hydroelectricity. Hydroelectricity does not produce pollution. Hydroelectric dams use water, which is a renewable resource. And so, first renewable resource that we're learning about today is water, and it's associated with hydroelectricity. All right, let's look right here. Now we're talking about wind. It says using wind as an energy source does not produce pollution. Wind energy is clean. Once wind turbines are built, wind energy has low or no cost. Because we will never run out of wind, it is a renewable resource. And so over here, we're looking at wind turbines and we're talking about wind as an energy source. Because remember, yesterday, we talked about energy sources that are non-renewable and you can use them up, and you can't run out of wind and you can't run out of water. All right, let's look over here. It says biomass. Biomass is fuel that comes from dead organisms. The most common type is wood. Other types include corn stalks and animal waste. Because biomass is burned to produce energy, it releases some of the same pollutants fossil fuels release, but usually in smaller amounts. And so while biomass is going to be associated with our renewable energy sources, we just learned that biomass can be a cause of pollution. All right, now I talked about these yesterday when we were looking at the cars. Everybody take a look at the top of that house. Those are those solar panels I was discussing. And so our next type of energy is solar. Solar energy is clean. It's renewable energy from the sun. When solar panels capture energy from the sun and change it to electricity, no pollution is given off. And finally, over here, we have geothermal. It says Earth's interior is very hot. Geothermal fuel plants use the heat below Earth's surface to produce electricity. Earth's heat is a renewable resource. All right. And so here's what I want you to do now. You are going to have the video pause, so that this is displayed on your screen and you are going to have a discussion. It says match each renewable energy source to its description based on the information in the picture above. And so we went through the picture. We looked at our wind, solar, water, geothermal, and biomass energy. And I want you to match the descriptions on the right with our energy sources on the left. Dr. Johnson is going to pause the video and you guys are going to discuss as a class at this time. All right, are we ready to check and see how we did? And so let's start with our wind. And so which of these is a description of wind? Wind has no pollution, a low cost, never runs out, and is generated by the atmosphere. Solar is clean, renewable, and from the sun. Water generates hydroelectricity and is renewable. That prefix hydro means water. Geothermal uses heat from below the ground. Geo, you think about earth, like geography. So we're talking about of the earth. And then biomass is fuel from the dead organisms. Great job, guys. And so now that we've really begun our lesson, let's pause for a second and have a quick discussion about what the differences are that you have already established between renewable and non-renewable resources. And so pause the video at this time and discuss the differences between renewable and non-renewable resources. All right, moving on. How does that work? When you turn on the TV or a light bulb in a lamp, you're using electricity. The electricity in electricity generating plants comes from natural resources. At the electricity generating plant, the energy from the natural resource is changed to an electric current. Then the electric current is sent in wires to the lamp or TV at your house. There are different processes that produce energy. Below, you will compare how energy is generated from different natural resources. And so we've got another picture here and time for another pause and check. And so we looked at these pictures earlier. In our original picture, we have our turbines, we've got the dam, and then we've got our panels. And so I want you to pause right now and discuss each of these electricity producing devices and what natural resource, the water, the wind, or the sun, is associated with each. So pause right now and have that discussion and come on back to check. All right, I hope everyone said that our turbines are associated with our wind, the dam is associated with water, and our panels are associated with the sun. All right, great job, guys. Time for another quick discussion. And so what I want you to do is think about renewable and non-renewable resources where you live. And so we've talked about several renewable and several non-renewable resources. And I want you to think about those that may be around us. And what I want you to do is to tell what are the natural resources and the electricity producing devices. And so, what natural resources and electricity producing devices are evident for you that you have seen in our community near where we live? Pause and discuss those now. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. Energy plants. It says each video shows one type of renewable energy and how it is used to produce electricity that people can use instead of non-renewable resources for energy needs. It says, as you watch each video, think about how the processes are alike and how they are different. Consider the benefits and drawbacks. That was that word we talked about yesterday. Drawbacks are our cons or things that are not so good of using each resource. All right, let's check out these videos.
Wind energy is transferred to electrical energy when it spins the blades of huge turbines. The spinning blades turn a device inside the turbine called a generator. The generator spins to produce an electric current or electricity. Wind is a renewable energy source that does not pollute air or water. But wind energy does have some drawbacks. Spinning turbine blades can hurt birds that fly into them. Groups of turbines called wind farms cover large areas of land or water, and some people don't like the view. The spinning turbines are noisy and can disturb people who live nearby.
All right, so those are our wind turbines.
Hydroelectric energy is fueled by water, a clean. Large hydroelectric plants are dams with machinery inside that transfer the energy from moving water into electrical energy. The dam blocks a river, causing a huge lake to form behind it. Water flows through the dam from the lake. As it passes through the dam, it turns the blades of a turbine. The turbine then spins a generator that produces electricity. Hydropower does not produce pollution, but hydroelectric dams are expensive. When the dams are built, the lakes behind them can flood farmland, forests, and nearby towns. Damming the river and creating a lake also changes a land habitat to a water habitat. The plants and animals that lived in the land habitat may be forced out or killed. A dam can also change the depth and temperature of the river on both sides of the dam. This change can harm fish and other life in the river. Fish that migrate up and down the river may no longer be able to because the dam is in the way. This can have major impacts on the ecosystem and on human activities such as fishing.
All right, let's take a look at our next video.
Geothermal is heat from the earth.
Uh-oh, here we go. It's jumping ahead of me.
The most common type of geothermal plant uses natural steam from underground to spin the blades of a turbine. The turbine spins a generator that makes an electric current. Some homes run on geothermal energy. They have heat pumps that transfer geothermal energy into electrical energy. Geothermal energy is renewable, but it is not everywhere. The hot rock and steam that produce it are found in a relatively small number of areas. Geothermal energy can produce some air pollution from the release of water that contains chemicals, but the amount of pollution is small compared to non-renewable energy sources.
All right, let's look at our next one.
Solar energy is considered to be clean energy. The rectangular panels in this field are solar panels. Each solar panel contains several dozen solar cells. Solar cells are devices that transfer the sun's energy into electricity through a chemical reaction. Energy from the sun strikes the solar cells. The materials in the solar cells then release electric current. Although electricity cannot be produced in very cloudy weather or at night, batteries can store the electricity produced during periods when the sun is shining brightly. Solar panels are expensive, but the sun is a non-polluting energy source, although creating the solar panels and batteries can produce pollution.
And last but not least,
Biomass plants burn biomass to heat water. Power plants burn biomass, such as wood, to heat water. The water produces steam that turns a machine called a turbine. The turbine then produces electricity. Most biomass is not expensive, but biomass does produce some pollution when power plants burn it. When you build a wood fire in a fireplace or campfire pit, you are burning biomass. Many parts of the world rely on wood stoves and pellet stoves for heat.
all right, guys. And so before we move any further, let me remind you that we should be filling in our graphic organizer as we go. I'm adding those things that come to our mind initially, and then that you're going to have time at the end of class to continue to fill that in. And so just a reminder that you do have that graphic organizer, and we have begun to talk about our energy sources: wind, water, solar, biomass, and geothermal. And so make sure that you are aware of that. And so let's go ahead and move forward. And so here is our discussion now. It says choose two energy sources from the ones you've learned about. How are the processes to produce energy alike, and how are they different? And you are going to just have a verbal conversation. And so Dr. Johnson is going to pause the video at this time, and you are going to select an energy source. And so he's going to call in a couple people, and they are going to select energy sources. And whatever two energy sources you select, you're going to share how those energy sources are alike and how they are different. Please pause the video and have that discussion at this time. So I'm sure you guys came up with some amazing comparisons, and were able to compare and contrast your energy sources. And so here's one that someone may have shared. You may have chosen to talk about geothermal energy and wind energy. And geothermal energy and wind energy are the same because they both are clean energy fuel sources, and they both use turbines, or turbines, as I typically say, that spin a generator to produce electricity. A difference that they have is that one works with steam from other underground, and one works with wind. All right, let's keep it moving. So now we're going to talk about tidal energy. It says that scientists and engineers are working on tapping other sources of renewable energy. Tidal energy is one example. It says that gravity helps produce tides, the predictable rise and fall action of the ocean. Huge amounts of seawater flow over the ocean floor between tides. By anchoring turbines in areas of the ocean floor where tidal flow is especially strong, electricity can be produced. And so here we've got a picture of an AK-1000 is the world's largest tidal turbine. Its rotors have a diameter of 18 meters, which is about 60 feet, and will harness enough tidal energy to generate electricity for more than 1,000 homes. And so remember, guys, when we talked about our non-renewable resources yesterday, those are things that once they're gone, we're not going to be able to get them back in our lifetime. And so there's a heavy emphasis on scientists being able to come up with renewable resources in order to keep the energy flowing. Okay. And so they're saying that the tides of the ocean are one of those resources. And so we've got another checkpoint here. It says, what do you think the engineering challenges are in building turbines that operate the sea? Choose the correct words to complete the following statement. Turbines in the ocean need to be blank to handle storms and strong tides. It will be a challenge to connect the turbines to land with a strong transmission cable to carry blank. All right, so let's check out our answer choices. Turbines in the ocean need to be, we've got lightweight, strong, or portable. So what would our turbines need to be in order to carry what they need to be? Light, strong, or portable? Did you say strong? I'm going with strong. Strong to handle storms and strong tides. It would be a challenge to connect the turbines to the land with a strong transmission cable in order to carry. And what is it that we're looking for them to carry? Is it wind, water, or electricity? Well, yes, of course, the tides do have water, but are we trying to get the water to land, or what is it that we want to do with these tides? That's right. We want them to be able to carry electricity. Great job, guys. All right, here's another checkpoint. It says renewable energy sources are those that can be blank in a reasonable amount of time. Energy from the sun is called blank energy. Machines called blank use the wind to produce energy. Hydroelectricity uses moving blank to produce electricity. All right, so let's check out our answer choices. Renewable energy sources are those that can be blank in a reasonable amount of time. Is it burned, replaced, or generated? Remember, renewable, that's right, replaced. All right, energy from the sun is called, which of these words mean sun? Solar, geothermal, or water? That's right, solar. Machines called blank use wind to produce energy. Machines called, that's right, turbines. Hydroelectricity uses moving blank to produce electricity. Hydro, what does the prefix hydro mean? That's right, hydro is water. Great job, guys. So here we are at exploration 2, renewable natural resources. It reads, cloudy days, no wind, little water. If you stand in the middle of a vegetable farm, you'll see rows of crops. If you stand in the middle of a wind farm, you'll see rows of wind turbines. Wind farms are built in very windy areas. The wind makes the turbine spin, which produces electricity. Moving water can also make the turbine spin, which produces electricity. The electricity from these devices goes to an electricity generating plant and then to homes and businesses. Electricity from solar energy can come from large fields of solar panels and through an electricity generating plant too. Solar panels can also be installed directly onto houses. Energy can be stored for use at times when the wind dies down or when there's no sun. Or other forms of energy can be used. When there's no wind or sun, backup sources of energy are used to meet people's energy needs. That way, no one is left without electricity. And so at this time, we're going to watch a video to discover more about renewable energy resources.
Wind is a renewable resource. Wind can turn turbines to produce electricity. This source of electrical energy depends on weather conditions. Strong winds produce more energy than weaker winds do. When there is no wind, no electrical energy is produced by the turbines. So the house gets its electricity from another source. Solar energy is a renewable resource. Sunlight can be converted to electricity in solar cells. This source of electrical energy depends on weather conditions. More electricity can be produced on sunny days than on cloudy days. At night, solar cells do not produce any electricity. The house will get its electricity from another source. Hydroelectric energy is a renewable resource. Moving water can turn turbines to produce electricity. This source of electrical energy depends on a supply of water, usually collected behind a dam. A high water level produces steady energy. If the water level gets too low, the power output of the turbines decreases. But other sources will supply it if the water level is too low.
All right. Let's see what we've got next. Time for a question. Which statement best summarizes what the videos show about renewable energy resources? And you are going to choose the best answer. So, which statement best summarizes what the videos show about renewable energy resources? Is it A, wind, water, and solar energy systems all produce the same amount of energy? Is it B, water power always produces the most electricity? Or is it C, the amount of electricity produced by solar, wind, and water power changes depending on conditions? Pause the video and discuss at this time. All right, let's check and see how you did. Which statement best summarizes what the videos show about renewable energy resources? And the correct answer is C. The amount of energy produced by solar, wind, and water power changes depending on the conditions. And so if it's really windy outside, we get more wind energy. If there's a lot of water, we're going to have more water power. If the sun's shining, of course, we would have more solar energy. And so now let's just take a look at that in action. So it says, look at the relationship between the amount of sunlight and the energy being produced. Study the two pictures to help you to answer the question below. So we have two pictures. This first picture here on the left-hand side is a picture on a partly cloudy day. So that means there's a little bit of sun. And then here is our energy gauge. And then this is a completely cloudy day. And this is our energy gauge. And the house is in the exact same place. And both of the houses have solar panels. And so what I want you to do now is pause and someone just please share what you notice. What is the difference between the level of energy received on each of those days? And so I hope that you noticed that when there was more sun, there is more energy because, again, remember, these are called solar panels. And so they get their energy from the sun. And so when the sun is shining, there is a higher level of energy. So let's look at another two pictures. And so in this picture, we have wind turbines and we have 15 mile an hour, or I guess these are kilometers per hour wind speeds on this day, and 29 km per hour wind speeds on this day. And so, based on the logic of what we learned about our solar panels and the sun, remember, if there's more wind and we're talking about wind powered energy, then we should have more energy on that day. Same thing here. So here we are talking about the hydroelectric dam. And so here we've got our water level, and our water level here is low, and here our water level is high. And so because this energy source runs on water, the higher the water level, the higher the energy. And so your question to discuss: which of the following best describes the relationship between water and energy in a hydroelectric dam? And it says choose all answers that apply. So that means there may be more than one correct answer. So we're looking for the best description of the relationship between water and energy in a hydroelectric dam. We have A, more water moving through the dam means less energy. B, more water moving through the dam means more energy. C, less water moving through the dam means more energy. Or D, less water moving through the dam means less energy. Pause the video and discuss. All right, guys, what did you choose? I hope it's that more water moving through the dam means more energy, and less water moving through the dam means less energy. All right. One more question to discuss, guys. Based on what you saw in those pictures, what do you think are some of the benefits and the drawbacks? Remember, we talked about these words yesterday. Benefits and drawbacks, the same as pros and cons. What do you think are some of the pros and cons, or benefits and drawbacks, of using renewable energy sources? Pause the video and discuss that question right now. Well, let's get specific for a second about these benefits and drawbacks. And so it says renewable energy resources have benefits, especially when compared to non renewable energy sources. They will never be used up and do not pollute the air. However, there are some drawbacks to using renewable energy sources. Solar panels, hydroelectric dams, and geothermal plants can be expensive to build or set up. Both wind turbines and hydroelectric dams can also be harmful to wildlife. Biomass plants and geothermal plants can cause some pollution in the air. Hydroelectric dams can cause habitat loss and even flood valued land. However, they still cause less pollution to the air in comparison to non renewable energy sources, and they will never run out. And so at this time, as a class, we're going to take a look at another chart. And this chart has sources, benefits, and drawbacks. And what I want you to do is I want you to match each of our energy sources to its benefits and drawbacks. And I'm going to see if I can zoom out on my screen a little bit. There we go, so we can see them all. And so here are our options. We have geothermal plants, hydroelectric dams, biomass, wind turbines, and solar panels. And so you're going to match each source with the correct benefits and drawbacks. Please pause the video and discuss that as a class right now. All right, guys, so let's check our answers. So the first one, the benefits were clean energy source will never be used up. The drawbacks were habitat loss can harm wildlife, floods valuable land, and expensive to build or set up. The correct answer here is hydroelectric dams. Our next one says clean energy source will never be used up, can harm wildlife, can be noisy and unattractive, and only works on days well with when there's wind. And so that, of course, is our wind turbines. The next one says clean energy source will never be used up. The drawbacks, expensive to build or set up, only works on days that are sunny. And so that is our solar panels. Our next one, our benefit is will never be used up, but our drawbacks are can be used in a limited number of places, can pollute the air, expensive to build and set up. That is our geothermal plants. And then finally, will never be used up as a benefit, reduces waste that goes in landfills. And our drawback being that it can pollute the air. That will be our biomass plant. How did you guys do? Hope you did well. And so think about this question really quickly, guys. Which benefits do all renewable resources share? What benefit do they all share? And choose all that apply. And so it may be more than one. A, their waste is easy to clean up. B, energy from renewable sources is cleaner than energy from non-renewable sources. C, they will never be used up. Or D, they work well in all environments. Which of these benefits do they all share? I sure hope that you guys said B, energy from renewable sources is cleaner than energy from non-renewable sources. And C, they will never be used up. So now let's talk about going green. I'm sure you've heard people say, let's go green when we're in the building and we talk about recycling and things like that, and we talk about going green. So let's read a little bit about that at this time. It says energy efficiency means to use products or technologies that perform the same function, but consume less energy. For example, a compact fluorescent bulb is more energy efficient than a traditional incandescent bulb. It uses much less electrical energy to produce the same amount of light. How do you think renewable and non-renewable resources compare? Which one do you think is more energy efficient? And so pause and think about that, guys. Which resources are renewable or are non-renewable energy resources do you guys think are more energy efficient? Now, while you're thinking about that, guys, I want you to make sure that you have evidence and don't just say, I think it's renewable because. I want you to give me some evidence. And so if you say that renewable energy resources are more energy efficient, tell me why. What is it that we've learned that leads you to believe that? And if you say it's non-renewable energy resources that are more efficient, give us some evidence. So share those things with the class. Share your evidence. All right, guys. Well, we've got one last quick check for today. And so it says most renewable energy sources do not cause blank. Most renewable energy resources or energy sources do not cause, that's right, they don't cause pollution. Rooftop solar panels turn sunlight into, that's right, energy. And then wind spins the blades of a blank to make electricity. Wind spins the blades of a turbine to make energy. All right, great job today, guys. And so here is what I want you to do. Again, for the remainder of the class period, you are to go and ensure that you have completely filled out your renewable energy graphic organizer. Dr. Johnson has the answers, and you guys will have some time to discuss those at the end of class. And so there are absolutely no excuses of why it doesn't get done. And so in your chart, you should be listing for each of our renewable energy sources how it's made or where it comes from. You're going to give a little bit of information about it. You're going to find a picture online to insert, and then you're going to talk specifically about how people use it. You can find those answers on the internet. You can find those answers in your text. Remember, you have that PDF copy, and we have literally answered all these questions so far today. You may not copy and paste from the internet. Every answer that you put in that box better be in your own words. I do not want to see long sentences and paragraphs that you copy from the internet. That is called plagiarism and not acceptable. After you have finished your graphic organizer, there is a lesson quiz for today's lesson. It is a Google form and also post it in your Google Classroom. So make sure that you complete that as well. Tomorrow, you are going to begin working on an independent work project around the things that we have been talking about. So, renewable and non renewable resources. Your graphic organizer is going to be a good tool to help you to do that project. And so, please make sure that you complete that. So, that is all that I have for you today. Make sure you get that graphic organizer done and have a good one.